I start? You start?
You start? How does this work? I talk, you talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to...
Come on, Joe.
That's your signal.
Oh, that's my signal.
Oh my god. We do it again.
Wreck and rule.
Boom, look at that. Get our YouTube voice going!
Just please, we'll not do that. I'm not scared of
Okay,
that.
alright.
What are we discussing today?
Well, Joe, today we're going to take a look
Three
at
wide cars.
An archetype, a deck archetype that
Called Three Wide Cars.
it's been going by the name of Hot Wheels.
Three wide cars?
Hot Wheels.
Okay.
So, Joe, tell me in Hot Wheels, what three characters...
Well, it looks like there's fire behind them. Is that where the hot is coming from? Or is that just like yellow paint? What is happening?
And they do all have wheels. And then on top of that...
That is true.
I think Frenchie coined the term that one night, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, our three characters, Joe, in Hot Wheels will be... Joe.
Prowl, military strategist.
Mm-hmm.
Wheeljack, weapons inventor. Bumblebee, legendary warrior. Legendary snorier.
Is that the super rare version of Bumblebee?
This is the super rare version of Bumblebee, yes. The third iteration, as if we needed three. I'm not sure why. We needed three Bumblebees. We could have done with three Starscreams. Three Bumblebees is a bit much for me.
So, I've played this deck a decent amount. I would say that these two characters are absolutely essential.
Mandatory.
Prowl is kind of like the... He's nice to have there. He adds some tricks in there. There are a number of other 6-cost cars. Why, Joe, would we not want to throw Jazz into the mix here?
Jazz seems to require white.
Mm-hmm.
White, a lot of white. Mm-hmm. And that is what you and I apparently seem to be lacking right now. I am showing 7, 8, 9.
I'm only showing 3.
Yeah, so Jazz doesn't go here for us. I'm sorry. It just doesn't fit. Unless you want to ignore his text box. Then he goes right here.
And have him die super fast because he has 0 defense.
Right.
And then, I think starter Bumblebee is sort of a maybe. I think he's not terrible. But for me personally, for one, it bugs me to have 2 Bumblebees in one single list. But then more importantly, the tough one is not doing a lot. Just
honestly,
because...
Brian, it bothers me to have 1 Bumblebee.
So...
Okay, so your deck is doing a little something different than my deck.
I don't have a lot of blue, so the tough one is not going to help me
right.
in robot mode. And Pierce 1 doesn't help me either, so Starter B does nothing for me. The other 6-cost card that is a possibility is Red Alert. And I mean, he hits decently hard in robot mode, but you've got that 0 defense. I just think that for 6, I think that Prowl offers...
At least does something.
More, yeah. And I mean, so in all honesty, unless things go pretty badly in the game, his robot mode ability is not going to do a ton.
Okay,
so
remember,
in that
these are my character cards. So when you bend them in half during the display,
I'll be nice. But when one of your cars is KO'd, you get to repair 3 from one of
so
your
when Wheeljack is
characters.
KO'd, repair Bumblebee, and when Bumblebee is KO'd, repair Wheeljack.
But that's assuming that they're in car mode
right.
when they get KO'd.
Has no effect on himself.
And generally, at the very least, Wheeljack you want to have in robot mode to attack. So I mean, it's going to be a little bit tricky to have this fire off frequently. Every now and then it will. His robot mode's nice. You get
frequently
that for...
plural?
Frequently adverb?
Frequently means 1 dies, 2 dies, game's over? I don't want it to fire off.
You're not gonna. It's not gonna happen often.
Right.
Is my whole point. Like even to have it fire off once in a game,
it should
it's
only
not likely.
It should only fire off once.
Yes. If it fires off more than once, if Prowl is your closer, yeah. You have lost the game. Yeah. That is an accurate statement. His car mode is more interesting for this deck itself. Yes. So when you flip into it, each of your cars gets bowled 2 until the end of the turn. Includes him, so you get some plays with that. And then on top of that as well...
Pause.
Sure.
I do love that play when for some reason your 2 guys are untapped, opponent's tapped, you're untapped, and you bring him in, I still function, and flip him and somehow ready him or something, whatever. And you have 3 cars with bowl 2, bowl 2, bowl 2.
Yes.
Beautiful turn.
It is the times that fires off, it is very nice. Yeah. Only 3 attack. And I mean, a lot of times when you are playing this deck, your first attack is likely to be using Prowl. You're not going to hit very hard with that first attack when you first dangle him out there. I go back and forth on who the better person is to have last on your team, but let's talk about Wheeljack. So, Joe, Wheeljack's car mode ability is...
Without reading the card, it is every time you play an upgrade on a car, you may draw a card, then scrap a card.
Good. That is correct, Joe.
Yes.
So I mean, 4 attack is decent, right? It's not amazing, but decent for like an alt mode attack. Yeah. 2 defense is also average, not terrible. 13 health back there, strong. It's his robot mode ability that makes him amazing, though. So
I think it's both abilities that make him amazing.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. But like, this is great to power up your team.
Absolutely. It gets the deck going.
Mm-hmm.
Most bots have like one good side. And it's like, do I really want to flip to the other side? Wheeljack is, I really don't care what side he's on. They both do something good.
They do. Now, when you attack, however, you definitely want to have him in robot mode. In robot mode, if you have a weapon in your scrap pile, he gets bold 3 when he attacks, which is strong if you can stack bold, or if you have a lot of orange, or if you can do both, even better. He starts off with 5 base attack, which is pretty strong. 1 defense is a little bit disappointing. You got to be careful when you do let him be vulnerable out there, because
there will be repercussions.
There's a lot of scary things, and like I think about the 4-wide Insecticon deck, like if they all have a chance to attack Wheeljack, they're going to kill him in one go. Mm-hmm. And then our very last member, Joe, is the super rare Bumblebee. Let's talk about his robot mode first. So in robot mode, basically the only time it fires off if he is the last character left on your team. His attack and his defense go up by 2. So 7 attack is really strong, right behind Rare Prime with 8, right?
I never know.
True. And then up to 3 defense, which is strong. I mean, that's good to have in like your closing character. And then also kind of neat is that when you flip into car mode, he has the ability to attack characters that are untapped as if they were tapped. You get some cool plays with that. It does lower his attack down to 4. So, I mean, you're not going to swing out there for insane amounts of damage unless you have some good upgrades out there on him.
Right off the bat, before we even go into the cards, I like when this deck goes first, because I've seen you do it. Your first thing is to flip B, send Prowl at their weakest character, maybe whoever's got 1 defense, a Thundercracker, or whoever you know they're not going to attack with first. RC. And it's like, hey, my second turn's coming up, I'll just flip B, throw a grenade launcher on him, and kill RC.
Right.
And that's just so annoying. It's so difficult to deal with.
And it also puts pressure onto your opponent, where they either have to use that character like then and there. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so frustrating.
And I like that with RC because I've had way too many games where someone gets the god like draw with RC, where they get the leap in battle, they get the
let's call it leap launcher.
they get the leap launcher, and she's doing 8 damage,
Grenade
no questions
into battle?
asked. It's ugly.
Yeah.
Or that, yeah.
Unblockable is just, you can't.
Some other things to note, if we talk about keywords, both Prowl and Wheeljack are specialists, but only in car mode. Wheeljack is a melee character in robot mode. There's not really a lot you want to do with that, to be quite honest. Prowl is a ranged character in robot mode. Bumblebee is melee in both modes. He's also a leader in both modes, so there's some plays you can make with that I will make that you've chosen not to.
What?
I have Matrix. You don't have Matrix.
Oh, right. So I will pause here and say that the original beginning point for this deck was our friend Cody, and he had was it Common Bee in here because it was triple specialist. So what I'm going to show later with the 2 multi thingies and the swap parts and all the bouncing of all the specialists and whatnot, I'll explain what that was supposed to do, and then I will explain why I went to Super Bee instead, although I'm not sure if that's the right call.
To talk about the genesis of my deck, to be quite honest, a lot of this was I looked at the typical Dinobot deck, like you look at what Scott Landis has up on vectorsigma.info. You take like the skeleton of that, you take out the Dinobot specific cards, you add in the car specific cards, and then you sort of...
This is the actual shell? Minus those 2?
There's a decent amount of it is from that. Now, obviously, he wrote the article originally before we'd seen all the cards yet, so there's some...
Supercharge.
There's some changes that he would have made. He'll probably update it pretty soon. But essentially, I'm looking at this as a Dinobot deck where rather than Sludge healing your other guys and keeping them alive and in the game, you're more trying to untap them to kind of like spread damage out as much as you can.
Yep.
The other thing I'll say before we start talking about this is that this is a deck that I keep on tweaking. So I'll tell you right now, this is not the final iteration of it. It's going to depend a lot on what other people are playing in your local area. If you're seeing like a lot of rare prime, you might tweak it a little bit differently. If you're seeing a lot of Insecticons, you might play a little bit differently. But it does. I'm happy overall with the performance, but there's some changes that I would. It just depends. So Joe, I guess we'll kind of get rolling here. Let's go over the obvious things that you're definitely going to have in this deck. So can we talk first about...
We both have cars. We're both doing car things.
Yeah.
The obvious thing is grenade launcher. How many you got?
Three.
Three
Grenade launchers.
That seem obvious? That just go there?
I think every single... almost every deck that's actually trying to do damage is going to have 3 grenades.
I'm going to put that off to the side because we're done with grenade launchers. We need to
except
talk about
one.
Why?
One more little trick.
One trick.
Here's what it is.
What's the trick?
Is grenade launcher is a way to guarantee that you have a weapon in your scrap pile to make Wheeljack fire off. So
to make Wheeljack fire off
in robot mode. So earlier, like if you're not sure, how if you don't see any weapons yet and you have a grenade launcher in your hand, you can put it onto Bumblebee or Prowl as one of your earlier attackers. Mm-hmm. This way you guarantee it goes into the scrap. This way Wheeljack is going to be powered up.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, again, grenade launcher, it's great if you're doing damage.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you pick a card next?
So I think the other staple for pretty much any deck is going to be Force Field.
Oh, is it a staple, bro?
It is.
You're already ruining the video. You're supposed to say Turbo Boosters next. Just say the obvious. What do you mean? It's car.
Isn't Force Field obvious?
It's car. Force Field's not obvious.
How's grenade launcher obvious for a car?
Because that's what it does, doesn't it? Well, you need Wheeljack. You just said why.
How are you driving around? Like what's
like this? It's, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's rewind time. Let's talk about turbo boosters.
Yeah.
So Joe, what makes this so good?
It says put on cars only. What do we got here?
3 cars.
I mean, hey, we're trying to do spread damage.
We are.
We were trying to do untap. When is untapping a bad idea?
Never. Yeah. The other thing to note about that is you also kind of get essentially 2 for 1 in that you untap a character, and if you are doing it on a car, so as long as you have Wheeljack in car mode, you then get to also draw another card. And scrap one from your hand. Yeah.
Hey.
Plus 2 more huge benefits. It gives you +1 attack, and you have an orange pip, which we want to stack bold in this deck. Also good for that. Joe, what card do we both share next?
I'll look across the aisle and I will say drill arms.
Ooh. Okay, talk about it.
Mix it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we both have 2. Why did you choose 2 copies?
Because of the blue. I want bold in this deck, and I want to limit the blues I have, but I do actually want to see blues every now and then while defending.
They help.
To stop from getting...
That'll be a little better on your side with the Matrix and the rollouts where I am lacking. Maybe I'm up for...
we might be roughly equal, except for the Matrix. Because you added
the rollouts and the Supercharges. We have a little bit of differences.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay. So yeah, we chose 2. Why did we choose drill arms again?
So one, it's a weapon, so it makes it more likely that Wheeljack's robot mode ability fires off. Mm-hmm. The other reason why is we want to have ways to knock off force field from characters. That was one of the big things that caused me to lose when we played these guys versus your rare prime, is I couldn't consistently get a force field off of prime.
Do we want to continue with the things that knock off force fields? We have an even amount of card numbers left. Mine are slightly different.
Well, do we want to keep going with the things? Let's
tell you what. It's your turn to pick a card.
Yeah,
you pick a card.
Let's talk force field.
Let's talk force field.
You want 3 of them in there. You want them to protect your characters, obviously. Something that I've been doing, which I don't know if I'm going to keep doing, is if I see it somewhat early, I'll throw it onto Prowl and keep dangling him out there so he lasts a little bit longer. Scott does not like it when I do that. Scott thinks it should go onto your stronger characters, and in this case, I think it's both. I think it might be Wheeljack mid-game, however. Because if you can get Wheeljack out there swinging out crazy damage, your end game is easier later. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you want 3. The other benefit to force field is that if you see white pips, you get to flip more out there. And for me, at least, this is the only source of white in my deck.
You only have 3 whites?
That's it.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. Joe.
Next, since our decks are going to start differing, I will jump to start your engines. How many you got?
I have 3.
flip each of your bots to car mode and ready one or untap one of your cars.
And it gives you... Okay, go ahead.
We have a great combination if you manage to get to this scenario. You flip B. It depends on who's tapped and untapped. If he's untapped, you want to tap him. Now you can attack untapped characters. You want to go here, you can start playing that card trick, draw trick again. You play here, you have bold 2, 4, 6. If you manage to get a giant triple swing for some reason. They're all untapped, whatever.
Right, if they're all attacking.
Right.
Essentially it becomes bold 6. Bold 2
Right.
for each one is what you're
Correct.
saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. And again, the whole point of this deck is that you want to kind of dangle somebody out there, let them take some damage, and then undangle them this way that they can't...
Right. Keep piling on.
Yep.
Unless they're super big.
Mm-hmm. And again, all of them have neat tricks you can do in car mode, so there's also benefits to going back into car mode. And then using your action to maybe flip back to robot mode, or sorry, using your flip to flip back into robot mode.
That would be for Wheeljack, yes.
Mm-hmm. Or even just to get like a little bit extra attacking power.
Well, wouldn't that be, I flip back in, then it's flip over. Now it's still bold 5.
Yes.
2 for the car, 3 for the person.
Yep, that is correct.
Wheeljack. All right, Wheeljack.
That was you, Joe, right?
That was you, Joe, right?
All right, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, we only have one card left that we both share.
We're going to start differing.
Well, kind of. So let's talk ramming speed. So
Ramming
we both
speed.
have 3 of... Do you have 3?
I have
you
2.
have 2, okay.
I have 2. I still have 3 ways to remove Force Shield. We have 6 total.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at my upgrade versus action balance, and that as well. I'm trying to stack a little bit more orange here. Ramming speed, all it does is it gets rid of an enemy upgrade, period, the end.
It should just say scrap Force Shield. Is that what that says?
Basically. Or, take a flamethrower off of a character that, wants it. Energon Axe would be good to knock off, too. But I like with this ramming speed, it actually scraps it, whereas debilitating...
goes right back to hand.
Right. I mean, it slows down what they can do. They have to keep putting stuff out.
Right, it might mess up their upgrade economy.
Right. But yeah, I've got 3, again, because I like that orange.
Now we're going to get a little different, Bri.
Should we share one more card?
Oh, we do. I still function. Frenchie did not chime in with the wanna bet. I'm very disappointed. We'll move on from there.
You wanna bet?
Why did you choose 2?
So I'm trying to stack just crazy amounts of bold. So blank pips make me sad. It triggers for all of our characters. They're all...
And why I still function in place of ready for action.
So I think that we already have a lot of ways to untap characters. I like the idea of bringing somebody back for a turn.
Especially Wheeljack, God forbid he dies first.
Yes, because again, you can just have him swing out for crazy damage. And then also, it kind of disrupts the enemy's plan, maybe, if they thought that you'd have to tap B to attack.
Right.
Now you get to save B for one more round of activations.
Correct.
Why'd you take 3?
There's my only 3 blanks. You want 2 blanks? Is that correct?
Only have 2.
Yeah. I like seeing the card. I like playing it twice in a game, 3 times in a game.
That's fair. Yeah, because you did that with the
frustrating.
bugs, and it was very frustrating.
I actually want to see this card.
Fair.
I don't know if I necessarily want to see it with cards because they're not as strong as the bugs with it, but still seeing it and frustrating your opponent's timing on things and whatnot can be exciting.
Okay, back to me, right?
No, that was you.
Are you sure? I thought it was you.
No, you said now.
I thought I commandeered.
Tell you what, why don't you take the next one, Brian?
Okay. I'm surprised you don't have this card in your deck.
Our decks are doing 2 different things.
Weird. Okay, I have flamethrower.
Your face is weird.
Yeah. Bold. I mean, put this on Wheeljack. Bold 30,000, right? Or it makes Prowl all of a sudden hit, decently well, right? Good on Bumblebee. A lot of my deck is going to be orange, so I like bold. I will take 3 flamethrowers. On top of that, I like it too because it's a weapon. It makes it more likely that Wheeljack's ability will fire off. Now, with that said,
we share the same amount of weapons though. We're still at 9.
Yeah, I believe so.
Or 6 or 9. Right, drill arms 2. My multi for your flame, and then 3 grenade launchers.
Something like that.
8.
The other thing to keep in mind is because I have so much bold, sometimes you get super sad because you end up shuffling your deck, and Wheeljack is your last character.
Be very careful when
And
you shuffle.
you have no weapons in your scrap. So that is something you have to be mindful of. All right, and Flamethrower was me. Joe, back to you.
Well, my deck is going to veer off in a completely different direction now. Do we want to finish up your deck and then go to my deck, or do we want to start doing what I'm trying to do?
I mean, I can, if you want, I can finish up mine. Sure.
Because obviously the Improvised Shield and those two on top left all go together.
Yeah. So Improvised Shield is only there for the double orange.
And
if I see this in hand,
PTR.
I want to get rid of it, whether that means I use, say, Incoming Transmission to put it on top of my deck, or if it just means I end up scrapping it maybe with Wheeljack's ability or something like that in car mode, hey, I'll go for that. I do not ever want to equip this to a character. It does nothing.
Ever? You sure ever?
Ever.
You got some blues in there.
I don't have enough blues. So
I'll save you one day, Bri.
Improvised does that. Peace through Tyranny. I've never actually used this as the action, but I think bold decks.
I don't know in a 3-wide deck you would play that seems dangerous. You need to
if
win the
you
game.
are for sure certain that you're going to seal the deal, and if you're scared that they're going to kill you back somehow. Same thing. Double oranges are good for bold. I think if you're running a deck focused on bold, you want all 6 of the double orange cards. While we're talking about bold, Supercharge gives one of your characters bold 3, and it's orange. So I like both of them in a deck that's focused on bold. Incoming Transmission is there to help me see the cards I want to see, and also to allow me to stack the deck. This way, if I have one of those double oranges, I can put it on top for when I attack. And again, it is an orange pip on top of that. Last 2 cards, let's do Matrix. I like Matrix and Rollout in bold decks because they help you do both things that you are looking to do. They do damage, they prevent damage. Matrix is a utility. The only other utility I have is the Turbo Boosters. Bumblebee is a leader.
Read that once more time, utility, or read Matrix for us.
What it does?
Yeah.
It goes on Autobots only. It can go on any Autobot, and it gives them just a +1 attack. However,
Each or each other?
The card that it's on.
Card it's on.
So the card it's on gets +1. However, if you put it onto a leader character, then every other character gets +1 attack and Pierce 1. Pierce 1 does nothing. Like, this is hitting
Pierce
hard
1
enough
does 1 damage, definitely.
Yeah,
You
but
never know, Bri.
Prowl is the only one where
You
that
never
might
know.
make a difference. So if I can get this on the Bumblebee early, I like that to kind of just up my damage game a little bit. But even later, like I'll put it on Wheeljack or Prowl if the opportunity is there. Why not? Last card is Rollout. Same thing. Blue pip, orange pip. I'll take it. Each character goes from bot mode to alt mode, as we already said. They all have some interesting abilities when you do that. And it allows you some neat plays where, you know, you flip Wheeljack into car mode, and Bumblebee goes into car mode, and now all of a sudden you can upgrade Bumblebee, draw a card. You can then send, put a grenade launcher on Bumblebee, send him to kill something that seemed like it was safe. And that's my deck. So again, as I said before, I've been
Aggro-ish cars.
absolutely. It's basically Dinobot cars.
Dino cars?
Dino cars.
You know what? We could end Hot Wheels, but go with Dino cars. That sounds wrong.
Frenchie says no.
So Cody's idea was to go in a little different direction with massive draw. So in order to make up for the bold city over there, I've thrown in Zap and Leap into Battle. So your bold 3 from Wheeljack's whatever and the Flamethrower, that's nice. It works for you because you have the double oranges. I don't. So this will hopefully cover the difference sometimes, at least not some of the times. And so Zap will just also help me ping damage where you're trying to untap and hide. We get a little different now. Now we're just trying to draw cards with this deck. Treasure Hunt, Data Bank. At the start of your turn, draw a card. Draw a card, scrap 4 cards, bring all upgrades to your hand. Might be a little action heavy for this Treasure Hunt to be incredibly effective, but I'm trying it anyway. I believe I have dumped Equipment Enthusiast from Cody's original idea. I'm not sure I'm getting equipment out there fast enough. The goal is to get multi-tool and multi-mission gear onto the 2 specialists. This is why he chose Specialist Bumblebee instead of this Bumblebee. That's probably the right call for doing this. I'm still going to try out the Specialist nonsense with the 2 specialists, despite the fact that Prowl is probably going to die.
If I could jump in for a moment.
No.
Which I'm going to anyway. So, at our Friday night tournament, I played 4 specialists. I did Prowl, I did Wheeljack, I did Flameware, I did RC. And I did these cards in there. And I was able to cheat a lot of stuff out. And I think it let me punch above my weight class with a deck that wasn't fully, like, it wasn't tweaked enough to really do well.
Right.
But I think I did fairly well against, like, a rare prime deck. I beat your bug deck with it on Friday night.
I don't recall that at all.
It absolutely happened. It wasn't on camera, but it happened.
Never happened.
But I like that idea. And I considered both of these. I was leaning a little bit more here.
For the play free action, yeah.
And for the orange.
And for the orange.
Yeah. And because the only armor that I have in here is the force field. So it gives me more potential armor.
Sort of passive +1.
Yeah, it can definitely make a difference there. Sorry,
Right.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
So with bouncing all the multi-things everywhere, if there's ever a situation where this would arise, if you had this, you can now play swap parts. So Cody's massive idea was to swap parts. You have now upgraded 2 cars 4 times. Wheeljack will trigger 4 times. You can look for the card you want, trash the cards you don't want, play 2 free actions on top of your original swap parts, and play 2 free upgrades, which may or may not be the other multis, and just start that process again. You're just looking for certain cards you need for the certain time. Maybe I'll draw into that extra grenade launcher. I don't know. Maybe I'll draw into the blue card. Start your engines. I think that was a great idea. I think it's worth exploring.
Hey, Joe.
Maybe build this. Maybe I need to tweak this a little better. Frenchie, do you wish to interject about this situation?
Yes.
Interject. That's a SAT
Why
word, Joe.
Interject.
Why when you swap upgrades, why can you play more actions?
Why can I play more actions?
Yes.
You know the answer. You just want me to say it out loud on the camera, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. I got you, French. All right.
It's because there will be people asking. It's a good,
Choose 2
it's
of
a
your
good
characters, swap all their upgrades. So, specialist. Multi-mission gear. When you play this on a specialist, you may play an action. When you play this on a specialist, you may play an action. Multi-tool. When you play this on a specialist, you may play an upgrade. You may play an upgrade. Swapping is technically playing. So, once they swap, I have now played. I get to play an upgrade. I get to play an action. I get to play an upgrade. I get to play an action. Wheeljack triggers. Draw 1, scrap 1, draw 1, scrap 1, draw 1, scrap 1, draw 1, scrap 1. So, what do I need to play? Oh, now that I got that card I need, now I can play that. WotC has also ruled that once you do something like this, you can do whatever order you want. I will be honest, I'm still a little fuzzy on that. So, when I play the swap parts and I swap things, I'm going to what? Just trigger 1, and then scrap 1. I'll pretend like I have another card in my hand. And then scrap 1. And then I actually need to play the start your engines first, and then I'll do this or whatever. Oh, and then I'll continue with the next one. Oh, I'll do something else, and then I'll blah 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 blah. I don't know. I don't think I like that interaction. I think there needs to be some rigidity to. I played swap parts. Stop. Just do 1 scrap. Like do all of this first, then move on to the multi. Then multi.
I feel if they kind of keep watching interactions like that, they'll probably tighten.
If they give too much freedom to the players, someone's going to break something like this.
Yes.
Thank you,
Hey,
Cody.
Joe.
Thank you, Cody. What?
That seems busted.
And that is what this deck is trying to do. And Brian, will we pair up our decks later today, as for a video later against car on car?
Yeah.
Dino cars versus Dino cars.
Absolutely. Are we doing that?
We're not going to do it directly now. We'll cut the video.
Okay.
Cut, guys.
Through movie magic.
Guys, I want to thank you for showing up to the double deck duel.